So we've had a general look at some of the overall characteristics of a few useful functions, and we know how to declare and assign values to standard variables. Now that you've been introduced to the concepts, it's time to learn about syntax, punctuation, and tracking down errors, because computers are funny about wanting things exactly correct. In the last video, I mentioned something about Unity throwing an error if you forgot to add the semicolon to the end of the variable declaration lines. Tracking down mysterious errors is a large part of scripting, especially if you're new to it. But Unity's compiler is pretty good about reporting many different mistakes. Let's try a few. As you can see, we're in the scripting test scene. Let's go ahead and double-click the variable test script to open it in the script editor. So let's delete a semicolon to start. This is an easy thing to forget to add if you're cutting and pasting code. I'll try this one right here. And delete. And whenever you make changes in your script, you need to remember to click over and save. Now if we minimize the script editor, an error appears in the status line at the bottom. Let's click on that, and that opens up the console. The console is where we will be seeing errors reported, but we can also send messages out to be printed there. The error message tells us which script has the error, variable test.js, what row and what column it's at, and, if we're lucky, like this time, a message that's useful in telling us what the problem is. Here's the nice bit. If we double-click the error message in the console, the script editor opens up to the exact line. And now we can fix it. We'll add our semicolon back in and save. Let's see what else can go wrong. Let's try a capital T for true. So I'm going to click, turn that into a capital T. Notice the color changed. And let's not forget to save. Minimize the script editor. And now our error message tells us that there's an unknown identifier called true. Once again, it tells us where it is, so we can double click. It opens up the script editor. And we can just set that back to a lowercase t. And save. Well, what happens if string is not capitalized? Let's go to this variable right here, this type, and we'll make this guy a lowercase s. Save the script, and let's minimize. This time, the name string does not denote a valid type. So this time it doesn't even have a clue. So we're not always going to get Unity telling us what was wrong, but at least it'll take us to where the problem is. So we'll double click on it, and this time it's up to us to figure out what it is. But fortunately, in this one we know. You may have picked up something else here. Let me move my cursor away to close the tooltips. So you may have picked up on something else here. The words are color-coded. When we changed the S to a lowercase s, the word string went from blue to black. And all of our variable names that we made up are black. Turns out reserved words are shown in blue. This is great for people like me who can't type or spell. If the color's wrong, double check the spelling. Okay, let's see what happens if we forgot to close the string with the second set of quotation marks. And we can go up to either of our string examples to do that. Highlight and delete. Once again, we save and minimize. This time the error is different. It was expecting quotation marks, but it found a carriage return instead. Let's double click to open our script editor again, and we'll go ahead and fix this guy by putting our quotation mark back. And never forget, you need to save. So what about spaces? Let's put a few extra ones in and then maybe delete one. So I'm going to go over here and maybe I'll delete this space right here and maybe an extra one here. And let's save and see if we get any errors. Save, minimize, and nope, no errors. So guess what? Spaces aren't crucial. Let's open the variables test again, or bring up the editor. And I do want to show you one thing here. If we had two spaces In this string, that wouldn't be the same as the string with one space. The reason you will see script editors using that ugly sort of courier font is so that you can clearly see if there is a space or not. This is really important. Spaces and punctuation do count in strings. Okay, to recap, the console will report errors, identify their location in the script, and occasionally make suggestions about correcting them. In the script editor, reserved words are shown in blue. And finally, spaces are not crucial unless they're part of a string.